在2025年1月初，围绕特斯拉和 SpaceX 首席执行官埃隆·马斯克 Elon Musk 与德国及其他欧洲国家领导人之间的政治争议逐渐升级。这场争论引发了对马斯克在欧洲政治中影响力的广泛讨论，尤其是在他与极右派候选人之间的联系上。事件背景：自2024年12月以来，马斯克在社交媒体平台 X 前 Twitter 上频繁发布支持极右派候选人的言论，尤其是对德国极端右派政党德国选择党 AfD 的支持。这引起了许多欧洲国家领导人的关注与不满，他们担心马斯克的言论可能干预即将到来的选举，尤其是在德国和英国。事件时间线：2024年12月，马斯克在 X 上表达对德国选择党的支持，公开批评德国现任政府的政策，尤其是移民问题，引发广泛争议。2025年1月1日，法国总统马克龙 Emmanuel Macron 在一次讲话中暗指马斯克，表示对马斯克直接干预选举的行为表示担忧。他指出，过去10年中，社交媒体平台的拥有者竟然能够如此直接地影响各国的选举，令人感到震惊。2025年1月5日，马斯克对英国工党领袖基尔·斯塔默 Keir Starmer 进行了激烈的指控，声称其在儿童性虐待案件上处理不当。斯塔默回应称，散布谣言的人只关心自己的利益，而非受害者。2025年1月6日，挪威总理乔纳斯·加尔·斯图尔 Jonas Gahr Store 和德国总理奥拉夫·肖尔茨 Olaf Scholz 对马斯克的言论表达了严重关切。肖尔茨批评马斯克的言论情绪化，并认为其无法真正影响德国公众。各国领导人的强烈反应。在这一系列事件中，欧洲多个国家的领导人纷纷发声，表示不满与担忧。马克龙直言不讳，指出马斯克的行为可能会影响到民主制度的正常运作，并要求各国应当警惕外部势力的干预。肖尔茨则表示，德国的选民不会被马斯克的言论所左右，强调正常人、理性人和体面人在德国的大多数。斯图尔在接受采访时表示，马斯克的财富和影响力让他对其他国家的政治事务进行干预，这种行为是令人担忧的，并呼吁国际社会应对这种干预行为采取行动。争议的核心问题。此次争议的核心问题在于马斯克在社交媒体上的言论是否构成对他国政治的干预。马斯克的支持极右派候选人的行为被解读为试图通过社交媒体影响民意，特别是在即将进行的德国选举中。此外，他针对儿童性虐待案件的言论也被认为是出于政治操控的目的，意图利用社会敏感话题来攻击政治对手。在英国，马斯克对斯塔默的攻击引发了强烈反弹。斯塔默以自我利益为由回击马斯克，表示他不会被此类人所影响，并强调需要关注受害者的权益。媒体的不同反应。各大媒体对这一事件的报道侧重点各异。NBC 新闻强调了马斯克与特朗普的密切关系，并提到他在美国政治中的影响力。NPR 则更加关注马斯克对英国政治的直接干预，特别是在涉及儿童性虐待案件时的表现。财富杂志则指出，马斯克的线上行为如何引发欧洲领导人的集体反应，并对极右派政治的崛起表示关注。结论：这一系列事件不仅反映了科技巨头在国际政治中的日益增强的影响力，也揭示了欧洲国家对外部干预的高度警惕。随着局势的发展，马斯克在欧洲的形象以及与美国新政府的关系将受到更深入的审视。欧洲国家的反应可能会影响未来与美国的外交关系，尤其在特朗普重返白宫的背景下，欧洲国家对美国政治生态的变化可能会采取更为谨慎的态度。
The dispute between German politics and Elon Musk highlights several counterintuitive aspects of modern political dynamics and the influence of technology on governance. Here are some key points that outline these contradictions. 1. Power of individual influence. traditionally political influence has been associated with established politicians' parties or institutions. However, Musk, a private individual and tech entrepreneur, is perceived as wielding significant political power in Europe. This challenges the notion that political influence is solely the domain of elected officials. Musk's actions demonstrate how individuals can leverage social media platforms to impact political discourse and elections directly. 2. Public backlash against tech influence. Despite Musk's immense wealth and influence, the backlash from European leaders appears to indicate that public sentiment may not align with his views. Leaders such as Macron and Scholz assert that Musk's influence is unwelcome, suggesting that the public may resist external interference, even from high-profile figures. This contrasts with the expectation that the wealthy elite would generally have a favorable reception in political matters. 3. Perception of social media as a political tool. Musk's use of social media to endorse far-right candidates and intervene in political issues contradicts the commonly held belief that social media platforms are merely channels for communication. Instead, they are shown to be potent political tools that can sway public opinion and influence electoral outcomes, complicating the relationship between technology and democracy. For polarization and miscommunication, Musk's comments on sensitive issues such as child sexual abuse cases in the UK reveal how misinformation can be weaponized for political gain. This contradicts the expectation that public figures should act responsibly, as their statements can lead to significant social repercussions. Musk's approach raises questions about the ethical responsibilities of influential individuals in the digital age. 5. Transatlantic relations and political identity. The tension between European leaders and Musk reflects a broader unease about American influence on European politics, particularly under a Trump administration. While one might expect a close alignment between U.S. and European interests, the situation shows a growing divide and a concern over American tech figures meddling in European affairs, indicating a shift in how alliances may be perceived. 6. The role of media in shaping perceptions. Different media outlets emphasize various aspects of Musk's interventions, some focusing on his ties to Trump while others highlight his specific actions in the UK and Germany. This divergence suggests that media narratives can shape public perception of political figures in unexpected ways, often leading to a fragmented understanding of complex issues. 7. Musk as a symbol of distrust. Musk's interventions are seen by many European leaders as emblematic of a growing distrust in American political figures and their motivations. This contrasts with the historical perspective of the U.S. as a reliable ally, indicating that personal behavior can significantly alter international relations and perceptions of national identity. 8. Inherent dangers of celebrity politics. The current situation illustrates the risks associated with celebrity involvement in political matters. Musk's celebrity status allows him to bypass traditional political channels, which can undermine democratic processes. This raises concerns about the future of politics when influential figures can disrupt established norms and expectations. Overall, the confrontation between Musk and European leaders reveals complex intersections between technology, politics, and public perception, challenging conventional wisdom about power dynamics in the modern world. The ongoing dispute between Elon Musk and various European political leaders, particularly those from Germany and the UK, highlights significant issues that many observers may overlook. While the media often focuses on Musk's direct interventions and the reactions from political figures, there are deeper layers of implications surrounding this conflict that are crucial for understanding the broader impact of technology on political discourse and democracy. 1. Musk as a political actor. One of the most important aspects often overlooked is the transformation of Musk from a business magnate into a political actor. Musk's behavior exemplifies how technology leaders can exert influence that rivals traditional political actors. His use of social media platforms, particularly X, formerly Twitter, to promote specific political agendas signals a shift in how political narratives are constructed and disseminated. This change raises questions about the role of billionaires in democratic processes and their capacity to sway public opinion and political outcomes. Significance. Musk's actions challenge the established boundaries between business and politics. His ability to mobilize large audiences through social media platforms illustrates a new form of political engagement that bypasses traditional media channels. This trend could lead to the erosion of accountability as individuals with significant financial resources can dominate discourse without the checks and balances typically afforded to political figures. 2. The reaction of European leaders. The unified response from European leaders, particularly Macron, Scholz, and Starmer, reveals a growing anxiety about foreign influence in domestic politics. Their public rebukes of Musk reflect a recognition of the potential dangers posed by external figures meddling in national affairs, especially when it comes to fragile political climates in Europe where far-right movements are gaining traction. Significance. This reaction is significant because it underscores a broader concern among European leaders about maintaining sovereignty in their democratic processes. It reflects an increasing awareness of the impact that social media and foreign actors can have on domestic elections, especially in a context where misinformation and divisive rhetoric can spread rapidly. By publicly addressing Musk's interference, these leaders signal their intent to protect their political systems from external manipulation. 3. The role of misinformation. Musk's engagement in political discourse often includes the propagation of misinformation, particularly regarding sensitive topics such as historical child sexual abuse cases in the UK. The backlash from Starmer and others highlights the dangers posed by unchecked information dissemination, especially when it is weaponized for political gain. Significance. The issue of misinformation is particularly pressing in today's digital landscape where the line between fact and opinion is increasingly blurred. Musk's actions highlight the potential for social media platforms to amplify harmful narratives that can affect public perception and policy. This raises critical questions about the responsibility of platform owners in regulating content and preventing the spread of false information that can lead to societal harm. 4. The rise of far-right politics. Musk's apparent endorsement of far-right political candidates in Europe, particularly in Germany with the Alternative for Germany AfD, is a significant development that deserves closer scrutiny. This endorsement intersects with the growing populist and nationalist tendencies observed across Europe, prompting fears of political instability and the normalization of extremist views. Significance. The support for far-right politics by a figure as influential as Musk could embolden these movements, giving them a veneer of legitimacy and encouraging their proliferation. This trend poses a threat not just to individual countries but to the fabric of European unity and democratic values as a whole. The normalization of extremist rhetoric can lead to further polarization and social division, undermining efforts to foster inclusive and pluralistic societies. 5. The implications for transatlantic relations. The dispute between Musk and European leaders occurs against the backdrop of evolving transatlantic relations, particularly with the impending presidency of Donald Trump, who has a close association with Musk. Musk's actions may be perceived as a precursor to a shift in U.S. foreign policy under a Trump administration, one that could prioritize unilateralism and disregard for established diplomatic norms. Significance. The implications of this shift are profound. If Elon Musk's influence is seen as a reflection of an incoming U.S. administration's approach, it could strain relations between the U.S. and its European allies. The erosion of trust in cooperation in international affairs could have lasting repercussions affecting collaborative efforts on global issues such as climate change, trade, and security. Conclusion. The dispute between Elon Musk and European political leaders is far more than a clash of personalities. It encapsulates a complex interplay of technology, politics, and societal values. The overlooked aspects of this conflict: Musk's role as a political actor, the reactions of European leaders, the implications of misinformation, the rise of far-right politics, and the potential impact on transatlantic relations are critical for understanding the evolving landscape of democracy in the digital age. As technology continues to shape political discourse, the lessons from this dispute will be vital for safeguarding democratic processes and ensuring accountability in an increasingly interconnected world. 1. Intervention in domestic politics. The central theme of the dispute revolves around Elon Musk's perceived interference in the internal politics of European nations, particularly Germany and the UK. Leaders like French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz have criticized Musk's actions as inappropriate for a foreign national. This raises important questions about the influence of tech billionaires in democratic processes and the ethical implications of their social media activities on political discourse. 2. Support for far-right movements. Musk's endorsements of far-right political candidates, such as his support for Germany's Alternative for Germany AfD party, have sparked outrage across Europe. This situation highlights a broader trend of rising far-right sentiments in various countries and the role that influential figures like Musk can play in legitimizing these movements. The implications of this support extend beyond mere political endorsement. They touch upon issues of nationalism, xenophobia, and the future of liberal democracy in Europe. 3. Political rhetoric and misinformation. The exchange between Musk and UK Labour leader Keir Starmer regarding historical child sexual abuse cases exemplifies the problematic nature of political rhetoric in the digital age. Musk's accusations against Starmer were seen as attempts to manipulate public sentiment for personal and political gain rather than a genuine concern for victims. This incident underscores the dangers of misinformation propagated by influential figures and the challenges faced by political leaders in countering such narratives while maintaining public trust. 4. Impact on transatlantic relations. The tensions between Musk and European leaders reflect broader concerns about the future of transatlantic relations, especially with the anticipated return of Donald Trump to the U.S. presidency. European leaders express anxiety over the unpredictability of U.S. foreign policy under Trump, particularly regarding issues of democracy and governance. Musk's actions may be viewed as a harbinger of the potential for increased discord between Europe and the U.S., emphasizing the need for clear communication and mutual respect among allies. 1. The Dreyfus Affair 1894–1906. This political scandal in France involved the wrongful conviction of Captain Alfred Dreyfus, a Jewish French army officer, for treason. The case revealed deep divisions in French society, particularly regarding anti-Semitism and military corruption. Prominent figures including writer Émile Zola intervened, publicly challenging the military's authority and calling for justice, thus influencing public opinion and political discourse in France. 2. The Watergate Scandal 1972–1974. This political scandal in the United States involved a break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters and the subsequent cover-up by members of President Richard Nixon's administration. The scandal led to significant public outrage, investigations by the media and Congress, and ultimately Nixon's resignation. It underscored the dangers of political corruption and the importance of accountability in government. 3. The Iran-Contra Affair 1980s. This political scandal in the United States involved the secret sale of arms to Iran, which was under an arms embargo to fund Contra rebels in Nicaragua. The affair became public in 1986, leading to widespread controversy and investigations. Key figures, including members of President Ronald Reagan's administration, faced scrutiny for their actions, prompting debates about executive power, foreign policy, and lawfulness in governance. Future outlook: the dispute between German politics and Elon Musk. Introduction. The ongoing conflict between Elon Musk and various European leaders, particularly in Germany, is emblematic of a broader tension between tech influence and national sovereignty. As this situation evolves, several predictions can be made regarding its implications for politics, technology, and society in the coming years. 1. Increased regulatory scrutiny for tech giants. As European leaders express concern over Musk's political influence, it is likely that governments will implement stricter regulations on social media platforms and tech companies. The European Union's Digital Services Act is just one example of legislative efforts aimed at curbing the power of social media moguls like Musk. This regulatory trend could lead to more stringent guidelines on the dissemination of political content, increased accountability for tech platforms regarding misinformation, potential fines and sanctions for companies that do not comply with new regulations. This regulatory environment will likely shape how tech giants operate, compelling them to be more transparent and responsible in their political engagements. 2. Rise of populism amidst political polarization. Musk's support for far-right political groups in Europe may inadvertently fuel the rise of populism. As political parties exploit his influence to rally their bases, we may witness an increase in far-right movements gaining traction in Germany and other European nations. Political polarization deepening as traditional parties struggle to counteract the populist narrative. A potential backlash against established political institutions as citizens express disillusionment with conventional governance. This polarization could lead to increased social unrest and challenges in forming consensus-driven policies across Europe. 3. Shifting transatlantic relations. The relationship between the United States and Europe, particularly under a Trump administration, may experience significant shifts. Musk's role as an informal envoy for Trump could lead to a more transactional approach to diplomacy, with the U.S. prioritizing economic interests over traditional alliances. Strained relations as European leaders push back against perceived external interference in their domestic politics. Potential rifts in NATO and EU-US collaborations if political ideologies clash over issues like human rights and democracy. The future of transatlantic relations will depend heavily on how both sides navigate these complex dynamics. 4. Public backlash against tech interference in politics. As the public becomes more aware of the influence exerted by tech figures like Musk, there may be a growing backlash against such interference. This public sentiment could manifest in calls for more transparent political funding and lobbying rules for tech executives, grassroots movements advocating for digital rights and the protection of democratic processes, a shift in consumer behavior, as people may choose to disengage from platforms perceived as politically biased or manipulative. This backlash will likely influence the strategies tech companies adopt in their external communications and political engagements. 5. Potential decline of Musk's influence. In the face of mounting political and public opposition, Elon Musk's influence may wane. Factors contributing to this potential decline include the emergence of alternative platforms that could challenge Musk's social media dominance, increasing scrutiny from both regulatory bodies and the public regarding Musk's statements and their implications, internal challenges within Musk's companies as they navigate the political fallout from his controversial comments and endorsements. As opposition grows, Musk may find it increasingly difficult to shape political narratives in Europe and beyond. 6. Continued globalization of political discourse. The global nature of social media means that Musk's influence is not confined to the US or Europe. His actions may pave the way for a more interconnected global political discourse with leaders and citizens from different countries engaging in transnational dialogues. The rise of global movements that may leverage Musk's platforms to advocate for various causes from climate change to social justice. New forms of activism that utilize social media to mobilize support and challenge authoritarian regimes. This globalization could lead to a more diverse political landscape where voices from various corners of the world come together to influence change. Conclusion. The dispute between Elon Musk and German politics reflects larger themes of power influence and the role of technology in modern governance. As the situation unfolds, It is clear that the implications will extend beyond individual leaders in companies, shaping the future of political engagement, regulatory frameworks, and societal norms. The outcomes will depend on how effectively governments, tech companies, and the public navigate this evolving landscape.